Hey everybody, I'm Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I have one of my absolute favorite guests ever. Say hi, Jason.
Yo, my peoples, what's up?
So, for those of you who do not know him, this is Jason from Every Night is Game Night. He is on a little bit of a hiatus right now, but he is one of the finest of podcasters, in my personal opinion.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course. So, what are you up to tonight? Have you been enjoying time with your family?
Yeah, I mean, I put the podcast on hiatus last month. I'm about 189 episodes in, so it was really hard. It's like, I gotta get to 200. But regular listeners of my show know I'm a mental health therapist, and with everything going on, with the COVID and stuff, it's just a crush of people, and I don't have to go out, thankfully. But it's just, you can just like call in. Now everybody's calling into their therapist. So I'm driving, I'm gonna go call my therapist, and I'm on the can, I'm gonna go call my therapist. And I was like, you can literally ask your therapist anywhere, which makes me really busy. So I just kind of okay, while everything's like, all right, let me just put it down on pause, slow things down a little bit, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was gaming real strong until I started teaching summer school on Zoom. So I'm 2 weeks in. It's only a 3-week course, so I'm 2/3 of the way through. But man, I did not know how tired. I taught asynchronously at the end of the year. Where you put work up, and you hope that kids do it, and you chase them down if they don't. And then now I've got these kids that are paying attention to me or trying right on Zoom all day, and you have to entertain this whole room.
We could spend the hour just complaining about Zoom education. That thing was not made to educate anybody.
No, although I'm getting better at it. So I've been learning how to use these breakout rooms so I can send them off to do group work away from me. I've learned how to show. You can actually show little clips and stuff and share your computer screen and sound, so we can still watch the occasional short clip. Basically anything to not make them hear my voice endlessly all day, because nobody can handle that. An hour is sure, but they need some mercy.
We're going to talk about games. We are on the Dice Tower. We're going to talk about games. Is that what we're doing?
We can talk about whatever we want. It's the daily chat. Didn't say it had to be about games. They've let Mike and Dan be on here, and they don't talk about games. So
that's true. We could emulate Mike and Dan and just talk about bollocks and a few acres of rubbish or whatever they're talking about over there.
I actually have been playing a lot of games. It's just that, so I'm kind of, how you work through some review copies and they're not all your most beloved. So, I've been working through some review copies.
The way I put it is swimming in a sea of sevens.
Yes.
So these are solid games. 7 out of 10 is a solid game. They get the Dice Tower Seal approval. You can only play so many of those in a row.
Yes, I agree with that completely. We're getting comments that we're a little bit laggy.
Yeah, I think you are very laggy on my end. I'm not really sure what I'm doing.
I don't know. I hear you fine. That's weird. Okay.
Your video is laggy.
Let me see. I don't want to reset my router right now, but I'm making sure nobody else in my apartment is online.
All right.
I'm doing what I can here.
Get off the chat!
So, Gator Davis asked, Jason, what game have you played the most since home confinement?
Oh, boy. Okay, actually, I have it right here. This was my last review copy before I went down. This is Shadows of Killforth. Shadows of Killforth is by my friend Tristan Hall of Hall Nothing Games, and he is a dear friend. He's been on, I guess, multiple times. If you don't know what Shadows of Killforth is, it's kind of like this big adventure thing. It plays on 25 beautifully illustrated cards, and it's like a random adventure. Has a lot of emergent narrative, you just kind of going from place to place, and there's no overarching narrative except for okay, beat this guy. But the adventures you have along the way, because it's it's a dream game for me, because I just love cards, and I love big fat decks of just cards all over the place. If you look at my shelf over here, I also have Street Masters over there. Talk about big fat decks of cards. Don't have the expansion, but like I love that. That's my favorite type of game. So that was a nice way to kind of end things off in terms of the podcast run. Was playing a little bit of that. Is it the perfect game? It is not a perfect game. Go ahead and listen to my podcast for that. I have a couple like that kind of niggles here and there, and I think the action economy can be a little bit rough because it's like combat. Like eventually you get to this point where it's like combat. Not my favorite. I love skill checks. I love like, okay, I want to sneak and I want to investigate. So like Alchem Horror or Eldritch Horror, which is also up here somewhere. Yeah, right there. Eldritch Horror is really good for that. Just like, skill checking your way to victory. So like think of that type of game. But card based, which makes it a little bit more modular, a little more flexible, a little more fun. So shout out to Killforth, definitely.
Nice. So I've been playing, as you know, I spent a lot of the early part of our quarantine playing Mage Knight, which has been great. And I am currently...
Wait, there it is. There, I have it up there.
Yes.
Can you see it? I don't even see it. The Ultimate Edition. Ultimate.
There we go. Yes.
That would be from my friend Adrian Falcone. Thank you so much, Jackie. It was a housewarming gift from my circle of friends back home. Mage Knight Ultimate Edition because they know how much I love that game.
If you don't, you should.
That's right.
So, I've been playing Too Many Bones, which is a game that I had played a little bit and then put off, and now I don't know why I waited so long. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm also starting up my review plays of Charlemagne, Master of Europe. So it's like the sequel to Agricola, Master of Britain. It's like a little Hollandspiel solo game. And I am getting a kick out of it. It's like a evolution in the system from Agricola, Master of Britain. So it's like a bigger map, slightly more complicated rule set, but not too much. And, I'm looking forward to seeing if I feel like this bigger game is in fact better. So we'll see.
Right. Yeah, you can take those war games and take them like a bunch of dudes in the map games. I'm good with those. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I do mostly co-op.
Yeah.
Or like like the low interaction solos and stuff.
That's fair. I mean, I'm an Omni gamer, so I like those too. But I've been enjoying my historical sims. You know that. And like I told you, so my copy. Yeah.
You lagged out. You mentioned the pandemic copy?
Yes, my copy of Pandemic Fall of Rome is coming, so I'll finally get to play it solo.
Yeah.
I played a bunch of times with other people, but never by myself.
We're gonna if anybody in the chat, we put out a call for anybody who likes anything about history and games. If there's anybody in the chat that wants to know anything about history and games, this is the time, because we may be the most overeducated historical nerd pair of Dice Tower contributors. Between us, we have 4 masters and a doctorate. It's a lot of eggheadery.
But it was so much fun. All right, so we have got a question.
It's so good.
So sure. Jordan wants to know, are either of us going to take part in any of the virtual cons?
Probably not, just because of the issue that I mentioned before. It's a lot. I mean, I spend a lot of time in front of a screen. There was a call to kind of like record stuff, at least for some of the Dice Tower cycles, so I may jump on that if the mood strikes me. What about you, Liz?
I'm gonna do some recordings for the Dice Tower Extravaganza for sure, but I don't know. Like, going to an online con, for me, the fun of the con is actually seeing other people. I can watch videos about games anytime, and in fact do all the time. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not totally seeing the appeal. I mean,
right.
To be real, I'm definitely gonna make some stuff for Dice Tower Extravaganza. I'm gonna see what everybody else made, but I like that I'll be able to probably go back and do some of that on my own time, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Also, like, I'm already doing some online PD for Latin, so I'll have to give like some more talks and stuff on the internet over the next couple months.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's just kind of like, and I talk about this a lot in my therapy. I talk about like kind of maintaining health. It's so easy to go down the internet rabbit hole of like, okay, my work is online, and now my leisure is online, and my connection with my family is online, and everything is kind of video chatty, and it's like I'm definitely noticing the impact of my energy, so I have to be really careful. I may like if I find out that like there's like a really solid group of people or friends like the One Stop Co-op Shop. I'm really cool with those guys. That they're like doing something, then yeah, sure, we'll hop on. But definitely managing energy at this point. Which is funny because like you hear listen to the solo gamer groups and everything. They're like, I'm solo gaming. This is great. I have all this time as a solo game. I'm getting my unemployment check, or the government is guaranteeing my payroll, or depending on where you are.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh. Oh, it's like I'm playing every game in my collection. I get to play them again. Give me about 10 years, my kids are out of the house, and I'm semi-retired.
Right. Yeah, I feel that. All right, so we got a question I actually don't even know. Do you play Concordia?
I have played Concordia once.
Somebody asked if Concordia is historically accurate, or if there are any fun facts related to that its expansions. I don't.
Oh wow, that's a good question. I mean, I actually like Concordia as a game because it's just like the hand management's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Again, cards. Like, it does like clever stuff with cards, but I haven't looked at the history of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it just because like. The other question I always ask myself is, just because a Euro game has a historical setting, is it particularly historical? Something like like you and I talked about Lisboa, definitely yes, right. Because it's the history is kind of steeped, like that it permeates the entire game. But something like Concordia, it didn't really feel like that you could have put it somewhere else and it would have played the same,
right?
If that makes sense.
Well, it's the same level of integration as like an Orleans, right? So Orleans is kind of like has this veneer of like kind of like I forget exactly what it's definitely French. I'm not exactly sure what time period it is, and that says something. I'm not really sure what period of French is.
Medieval-ish, sometime in the Middle Ages.
I think it's late medieval. I think because I know like the invasion is kind of like stepping up into the when France was like really besieged. But like I don't know. Like it's one of those things where it's like you get a lot of Euro games that have just like historical. Here you go, like a little like powder on top of the entire donut. Yeah. So I think that if Concordia is historical, it's kind of like that. It's like here's a little bit of historical powder on top of the donut that I've already baked.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. We got like a super nerd question. The two best known battles that Julius Caesar was in. I mean, that's opinion, I guess. Alesia. A Battle of Alesia, maybe? Like 52? And what, like Pharsalis? Like Civil War? I don't know.
That question?
Timon, 6219. Oh my God. I got this. I already answered it. We're good.
Just driving everybody else away.
Right. I already do that myself, so it's okay.
Who asked that question? That must be like one of our friends going, okay, let's really
what will Liz do? So, Corlu asks, do we find it worthwhile to play solo games online? Issues or tips? That's a good question. Do you play online?
Yeah, like I have Tabletop Simulator.
I have it. That don't mean I've used it.
Yeah, I mean, so okay. So there's Board Game Arena, and there's certain games that I love in Board Game Arena. I play Hanabi all the time. Like I love Hanabi. I'm really good at it. There's like conventions and multicolor and all sorts of stuff that I'll use, and I love it. And so like that is a game I play online. I played at maybe 3,000 games over like the last 4 years, something like that. A bigger game. I remember I was with Anthony Chatfield from BGA, and we played Underwater Cities together, and that was a joy because that's a game that I hadn't played, but I knew I would like the game because it's cards and it's a dungeon and it's like that kind of thing. And sure enough, I loved it, and so I loved having the option of having it there, and I have fired it up. Have I played it all the time? No, because it's at the end of the day, it's like more screens, like we talked about that before.
Yeah.
But I think the ideal in terms of playing a game solo is play something you don't have. The physical version is always better than the digital version, unless you want to just play a ton. The Viticulture app just came out, and the Viticulture app is excellent. $9, people wins at that kind of for an app price, but so if you're playing something like that or Aeon Zen, like one of the premium apps, then you could those are good options. But if you're doing a tabletop simulator route, I'll definitely recommend play something you don't have, something that is like a treat for you, and then kind of take it from there if it's something you might enjoy.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't really play very many board games online, but I do actually like to play video games, and I've been getting interested in video games that are kind of like board games. So I've played it a little bit in the past, but I've become re-addicted to Slay the Spire, which is a deck builder, but it's a video game, and it does things that board games can't do in terms of tracking card modifications and stuff, which I think is really interesting. And I actually just tweeted like a couple days ago asking for recommendations of other games like that. Got a lot of really cool recommendations, so maybe I'll be doing something in the future about like digital board games, ones that were never made to hit a table. Those are interesting.
Speaking of like just kind of like managing energy, I'm definitely drifting towards like board game adaptions because they're never long. Like modern video games, it's just like, oh, Skyrim or GTA 5 or No Man's Sky. I'm just gonna like wander around forever. It's like I don't have the time for that, the energy for that. I don't have the wife for that. She will not allow me to disappear in that stuff. So, but like board games tend to be very puzzly, and I love just online puzzles, right? I like community cultures of puzzles. It's like, okay, we know what's going on here, or like what all these other games are talking about. And Slay the Spire is basically a puzzle, right? It's like, okay, how far can I go? How can I kind of manage my resources and everything? So I love I love having that option to kind of like dip in and out of something.
Yeah.
If it's going to be a solo game, to me, the best solo games are on the puzzle end. Like they're basically kind of like randomized, repeatable puzzles, right? And they're fun. They're not just Sudokus. They're like they're lively and they give you like active interference, but like they scratch that itch in my brain. Like being a psychotherapist, I deal with nothing but emotions all day, and like people's trauma and this and that. I just want to like have a nice, containable, solvable puzzle.
One time where the world works as it should.
Or like or just like anything. Like I mean, I'm looking at this over here. I was just got this to the table. What a puzzle this game is! Woo! Oh my god!
Is that Neanderthal?
Yeah, that was Neanderthal.
I've been curious about that.
Yeah, he's a cutie pie, right?
Adorable.
What a puzzle this game is, but man, it's really good. Anyway.
Yeah, I've actually been doing literal puzzles recently. Like, I've started doing like jigsaw puzzles, and I actually do like to do Sudoku. Like, I'll sit and like watch the TV and just like solve Sudoku puzzles. It's really calming. I like it because it gives me something to focus on that I know is going to be kind of contained, that I know isn't going to stress me out too much. It's very calming to work on a puzzle. I really dig it. Actually, I got invited to this. No, I actually got invited to this jigsaw puzzle Facebook group, and like, man, the level of like, there's so many different companies and like different images, different complexity levels. I had no idea, so I might go down that rabbit hole at some point. My cats probably will get in my way.
I mean, speaking of going back, like puzzles, I think jigsaw puzzles were invented like the medieval age. I think jigsaw puzzles been around longer than board games. So they're.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that there's all sorts of like jigsaw innovation and 10 billion pieces and all the different pictures you could put on there.
Because like the Romans had board games.
The Romans had I guess like board games that have survived to now. Like the Romans had, I think the only thing that Romans really gave us were like hopscotch.
No, they had Duodecim Scripta, which is like a dice game where you like it's kind of like a backgammon relative, and they also had like a kind of chessy game.
Games we don't play.
No, we do not play them. All right, question: do we like alternate history books, TV, or movies? Favorite if we do.
Alternate history, but what is that? Like historical fiction?
I guess alternate history, yeah, or like where history turns out in a different way. So like Man in the High Castle, I guess, would be alternate history.
I don't know what that is.
It's where like the Germans won and America is like not America. You know what? I don't totally love. If it's really good, I'll read it. But I actually prefer historicals that are pretty close to the history.
I think it has to be really good. Like it has to be really good. It has to like really answer like a what if question, like a really burning one, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Okay, so I'm thinking of a board game right now. Speaking of that, called Black Orchestra.
Oh yeah.
Black Orchestra. So it's an alternate history board game, right? So like in Black Orchestra, there is like a resistance in Germany, and Hitler eventually rises to power in real life, but like the board game is set before Hitler rises to power, so like he's kind of like going around the town and like influencing the city with Goebbels and all these other people, and you actually have a chance to kind of like off Hitler before anything happens, which is exactly what the revolutionaries are trying to do.
Yeah.
And I dug that. I mean, it that game came down to like a giant dice roll, and it was like, oh, I mean, I don't like games that last an hour and a half and like come down to a dice roll. I don't like that idea, but like getting there is awesome, and like actually hitting the dice roll, making sure you have enough kind of like odds in your favor. So like it was not that bad. So like in terms of an alternate history board game, oh yeah, I'm gonna recommend Black Orchestra all day. But in terms of in terms of books, if I'm gonna read something, I'm probably gonna read straight up history. As I mix in a lot of stuff, right? I'm reading psychology stuff, and I'm reading. I just finished the Stormlight Archive, so I'm a massive fantasy dork. Oh, speaking of, Call to Adventure is still on my shelf. Stormlight Archive expansion is coming out for Call to Adventure, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pound it out. Oh my god, how heavy are these books? This is 1,200 pages each. Of goodness. So then, in terms of actually like kind of like veering off, I don't like in terms like an alternate. I don't do that too much. But if it's interesting and I learn something, then I'm definitely open to it.
Nice. I think that's a good way to look at it. I mean, I've been reading Bernard Cornwell's Arthur book, so I've just started The Winter King. That's about King Arthur and his rise, and that's actually really good so far. I'm about halfway through that book. Probably kill it off in the next day or so. Speaking of words, do you like word games? Any favorites? Fred Perro asks.
Word games.
So I have a traumatic story about word games. It's not really traumatic, but
okay.
So my mother is an amazing Scrabble player. It's just not even worth playing with my mom. Oh my god. Like she can build, like how people memorize the 2-letter words? My mom can build words like down the sides of other words, thus scoring multiple 2-letter words and also a new word. It is like...
That's why Scrabble sucks. All those 2-letter words and like AA and QA and no, Scrabble. I will never play Scrabble for that very reason, because of the 2-letter nonsense. Because then the words get gunked up, because it's like, you put like a big long word, you're all happy and everything, and then someone puts like 2-letter word, it's like, I can't build off of this. Anyway, end rant on Scrabble. But in terms of like stuff that I like, because these actually both play solo, the Tim Fowers games, paperback/hardback. Paperback is the easier one. It's a deck builder, but you're building in words into your deck, and that's fun. And then hardback is the crunchier one. So like I actually don't prefer it because it's crunchier, but there are people who prefer it because it's crunchier. So those are two that I really like. And then like word games tend to be party games, and I'm not a huge party game guy. Like Werewords or something. Mm-hmm. But like if I'm gonna play a word game, I want to play it solo, because I'm kind of crappy at words. But
I do like paperback, and I actually do like Werewords. Werewords actually, I miss my game night. I can't believe I miss those guys. No kidding. I love my game night guys. But
right?
we
never thought I'd say it.
Werewords is a really common filler at my game night, and I really enjoy it. It's really good fun with the right group. So that's a good time.
I prefer Insider. I like Insider a lot. It's the same. It's basically the same game, only it's like a co-op-ish more experience, as opposed to like you're not like an actual trader. You're just kind of like nudging the party towards like the wrong answer.
Yeah.
And I dig Insider very much. I know it's not like a classic word game, but if I'm gonna play a party game, that is definitely top 3. The Insider. I love it.
Nice. All right, so Kabuki Kid, who I'm gonna razz because
there he is.
So I said he showed up. He missed my first Dice Tower live chat, and it broke my heart. And then he showed up to this one late, and now he has the cheek to ask me, "Is every night really game night?"
It used to be. Oh my! It absolutely used to be. So I started the podcast like 3 years ago. Oh, actually, I stole the podcast because Anthony Chatfield had a solo games podcast. He puts out a call around episode 5. He's like, if anybody wants to join me, because it's just do it him. And so I was like, I listened to a show. I'm like, I'll call in, whatever. And I never left. And I stole the podcast, and I renamed it because I wanted it to be kind of like solo but other stuff. And I said every night is game night is like a good, like, okay, this is like a kind of a dog whistle for solo, because like solo players know that, like, you know, they're playing every night, but like other people can also listen to it too. And when the podcast was just beginning, when I was like really launching, I played all the time. I bought games all the time, and I was like, you know, big games, little games, and you know, Automabot solos and Euros and co-ops. And I was, I mean, I would probably play six nights a week. I'd probably play something, and then one night would be for family. And it started to kind of wane as the levels kind of like life rose and everything. I had a second child, and that kind of knocked me off a little bit. But yes, as soon as my children are grown, every night will indeed be game night once again.
Got it. Also, I have misgendered Kabuki. She is a woman of mystery. I've never met her. I just see Kabuki everywhere. Sorry, Kabuki. But she also asks, what is the first solo game that we played that really wowed us? Mine is, of course, Lord of the Rings living card game, because that was the one that made me a solo gamer.
Right. Wow, that's a good question. That's a really good. Okay. Probably Pandemic. Like, I mean, if anybody knows me, Pandemic's my favorite game. Like, just favorite game. And that game kind of got me into the hobby, along with some others. But in terms of solo, I played the heck out of Pandemic, and especially with the In the Lab expansion. The In the Lab expansion added a lot of theme. So like you're gathering the cubes and you're kind of like putting them in through this machine, and like you're making a cure. Like, this is the best. I will also put Sentinels in the Multiverse on there. Sentinel, I will not reach down because I don't want a hernia. I have the big black box down here. With the fan-made expansions, which makes it extra heavy. I have everything for that game. I own the app for it, so like $50 for all the content. So I'm happy to pay it. So yeah, those two, Pandemic and Sentinels, were basically the games that got me into the hobby, along with like a couple others.
I really love Sentinels and Multiverse. That's something I also like to play that one with people from my game group. So it's one that I like to play solo, but I also miss having company for it. I had arrangements with one of my friends to go after, the big boss and have like a huge day of it, but it has to get put off until we can all hang together.
Right.
Somebody asks, have you played Freedom? Is there a better historically themed co-op game?
Where is it? There it is. It's right there. It's right there. I know, I'm a little bit shadowy. I don't have the good light on there, and I don't feel like ripping out all the stuff. But yes, it's the best. I love Freedom the Underground Railroad. It's so good. Oh, God.
Oh, no. Are you okay?
I was so excited I dropped my water.
I have not actually gotten to play Freedom the Underground Railroad. I would love to play it.
Wow.
So it's one of those ones that I'm kind of like trying to get into my hands so I can give it a play. But I only hear good things.
It is it's a solo game. Like, it's a solo game that you can play cooperatively. Like, they add more of the cubes and the stuff going on, but it's so prone to alpha player because you don't control your own piece. You just, like, everybody's like collectively controlling the path of the runaways. So it's like that's why, like, I hesitate to say it's the best co-op that I've ever, like, historical co-op I've ever played.
Yeah.
Because it's not really a great co-op. It's a great solo. It's a great solo puzzle. Just taking out the theme, just like this idea that, like, you have this, kind of patrol, and you're kind of like moving the runaways past the patrol. Do you notice that I'm trying to steer away from the problematic words? But it's a fabulous puzzle. Is it the best historical co-op? I mean, not a lot of competition there. I know Liz is not as jazzed about this game, but I love Days of Ire, Budapest 1956. It has a lot of flavor. I love, like, it's a very pandemic-y game. And I think it's a little bit better of a co-op because you have your own hand of cards. You can kind of manage that. Everybody
Yeah.
kind of contributes and everything. So if you're gonna go historical co-op, not a ton of those. I'll probably throw in Budapest 1956 unless I think of something
Yeah,
else.
I might vote. Grizzled is a rough one,
Okay,
but it's
Grizzle.
good. It's
Mhm.
painful.
Is it historical? Man, yeah, you're
But the
not
thing is, it's
depicting
now
anything.
historic because of who did the art. So it's a different thing.
Yes.
But the game has new layers
Yeah.
of interest just from its own history. So Kabuki asks, what is the most complicated solo game that you love? What's the highest on your complexity scale that you'll do?
Okay. This is a solo variant for a game, but I don't know if it actually counts, but it should be solo. It should be solo. Through the Ages.
Ooh,
So
okay.
it's basically, so it's like you like Nations. So it's basically Nations. Um, but I like Through the Ages better because I just love the card play.
I really do like Nations, so maybe I should spend some more time with something like Through the Ages. But gosh, the most complicated. Ooh, maybe. I mean, Pendragon's pretty complicated, but I really like it.
Hmm.
Um, I think
I guess like
Manchuria can be
define,
heavy, but I mean, nothing's if you
yeah.
practice something enough, it's not as bad anymore. It's more what am I willing to pay up front from my like sweat and tears to learn, and then
Yeah, there's like different types of complexity, right? Like there's Euro-y complexity where it's like you're trying to make the cascade of powers kind of work to you.
yeah,
But then there's like war game complexity where it's like how will the AI react to like if I do this, that, and the third thing. So it's like it's very different experiences. They're both complicated, but like I tend more towards the low interaction Euro-y stuff. I'm not a war gamer at all. We've talked about that, but like,
yeah,
if you were gonna go in that realm, definitely. Oh, I mean, because I mean, I have this rule where it's like, okay, the more complex a game is, the more it has to do some heavy lifting on theme.
yeah,
Like, I have to see it. I have like, so
yeah,
Lisboa will be a perfect example, because theme helps me play because like moves make sense. So
right,
like you've talked about that. Where, like teaching Lisboa, you do this and that makes sense. You do this and you do this. You gather, you trade this for this. Oh, that makes sense. The people are doing that. So like when you have a heavy theme, you can or like a decently well integrated theme, you can teach it better and you can have better access to it.
yeah. I
So
think that's
I
true.
think Through the Ages has like does it pretty well because you're making the army and the army has its own little kind of side rules there and you're either building a big machine like industrial like iron majesty or you're building just enough to get your wonders going because you're a cultural power. I can get into that. I can grok that. So Lisboa is another example. Anachrony, funny enough, like it's so wonky and crazy, but I get into like the rewinding and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
It's another good example. So yeah, there's a bunch of them, but if it's like Lorenzo Il Magnifico, get out of here. That game is dry as a bone. Get out. Caverna.
Jason, you should just review games. Like, how many raspberries do you give it?
My Dice Tower review. Seal of raspberry. There you go.
Oh man,
Red.
that'd be so great. All right. So we just got asked, do either of us listen to any non-gaming podcasts? I actually do, but do you, Jason?
All the time.
What's
I listen to way more non-gaming podcasts than gaming.
what is your favorite?
Man, people ask me that question, and it's like because I listen to so many different ones. I listen to history. I listen to current events. I listen to psychology. I get okay. So I'll throw one out just for like helpfulness sake. It's called the Happiness Lab.
Mm-hmm.
It is run by a fellow Yale person. So she's actually right down the road from me. I'm in Connecticut. She is a behavioral psychologist, and she is trying to crack the code of why our brains get in the way of us being happy.
Cool.
So like we think we're trying to be happy, but our brains do all sorts of stupid nonsense to prevent us from like doing things. So she kind of like breaks down every episode, like, okay, this is how you form habits, and this is how you think positive, and this is I in terms of something that's just like a quick hit. Oh well, I can kind of use that in my life. So happiness lab.
Nice.
I'll use that one.
Also, for context, Jason and I both had various Yale affiliations. It's where I got my PhD, and you were working there?
I was working there no longer.
Nice. So yes, we both have some Connecticut time.
What is we both have Yale connections.
Well, you said I was like, all right. So, as for non-gaming podcasts, what do I love? I love Red Handed. I actually really like true crime podcasts, but Red Handed is my favorite. It's these like two women who are clearly like the best friends ever who talk about grisly crimes, but also somehow make it funny. So if you can handle some pretty heavy subject matter, I really recommend that one. I have listened to that on my commute so many times and then kind of sat in the car a little bit longer to listen some more. So I'm really a fan of that one. I like it a lot. All right, here's one. Cool. What game has made you laugh the most?
Oh. I'd have... Okay, are we going board game, or can we stretch that out a little bit?
I say stretch it out. It just says game. We can push the semantic meaning.
It just says game, okay.
What is the definition of game, anyway?
Let's do a ludological sidebar over here. Define game. Well, actually, I'd have to go to the RPG space. I'm also a big RPG guy. And Gamma World is this kooky system that's it's published by WotC. So it's not I'm not exactly like breaking the mold over here, but you'll have like you can put together like mutant characters, and it's like this post-apocalyptic thing. And I ran a session of that once as a GM, and I had a bunch, and like we were literally like falling off the chairs laughing about all the like the stupid silly hijinks. And I think at one point like we were like I constructed a fight where it was like there was like an orb of power, and they had to like kind of pass it off. So I took a potato and I was passing it off to the players at the table. So like whoever had the potato got a buff, but they also, if they had at the end of the turn, they would, so like they were passing off this potato. And like we're sitting there going, this is so ridiculous. And at the end of it, we were seeing, like tears rolling down our eyes, and just got, wow, that was amazing. And actually, part of what enhanced the experience with music, I put a soundtrack. So like I had some Weird Al Yankovic in there. So like it was just role playing games, man. Oh man, I don't play enough. I don't play nearly enough those nowadays. So good. Totally
on the other end of the spectrum, a game that has always made me laugh so hard is Time's Up. Have you ever played Time's Up? You don't like it?
Should I give it the Dice Tower Raspberry?
Do it. But I get such a kick out of it. Every time we play it, everybody acts like a complete idiot. People get so frustrated for no reason, including me. Like, it's just hilarious to watch people attempt to act things out. It just is. I find it's a game that's really among friends where you could like really be uninhibited. It is hilarious, and I get such a big kick out of it every time somebody wants to play it. I'm generally down unless I'm really, really low energy that night, because I always end up laughing really hard.
In terms of a board game, I'll say Telestrations.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's also funny.
I've had so many laughs. That's like with the terrible art and and we would play with like the 12 party packs, so there'd be 12 of us. Yeah. So like that is a lot of room for that picture to just go completely off the rails.
One of my friends, I went over to his house and he brought out Lupin Louie one time, and we just played something really serious, and it was just so stupid. I got a big kick out of that. That was good times. All right, this is an easy to answer question, so I'll just take it. Am I really in front of a brick wall? No, it's actually a photography background. Oh, oh my God. Because I got so tired of filming in front of. I got so tired of filming in front of a boring white wall. I think
you should just crash through it. You should just fell backwards and be like, fooled you.
Actually, my students asked me that in the first day.
That's how terrible I am. I didn't even notice. It didn't register to me that like this, like you look like you're like in the old city of Jerusalem or something, just like hiding behind like a wall talking.
That's where I should be. That would be great.
That would be a fabulous place to be. But good call there, whoever that commenter was. That's some eagle eyes there.
All right, what are your favorite pizza toppings? That's a good question.
Okay. Yeah, that is a Dice Tower Live question right there.
Why not? Let's do it.
Why not? That is def. I've heard that a couple of times on the Dice Tower chats. Oh man, I'm a New Yorker. I'm from New York, so I take my pizza very seriously. I mean, in terms of toppings, though, okay. So I'm a child of the '90s, right?
Okay.
And I grew up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
So you remember what the violence they used to inflict upon pizzas?
Yes.
Like peanut butter and yogurt pizza.
Yeah. Do I need to prepare my raspberry, Jason?
So I definitely ran the gamut of pizza toppings. Although, okay, God, is like including all of that stuff, that is such an overwhelming question. But the first thought I did have was Hawaiian. So I guess I'll go with Hawaiian.
That's fair.
Although, if you've been in New Zealand, they put anything on a pizza as well. So I have had crocodile, and that was really good.
Okay.
Tastes like chicken.
I believe it. So I have very different pizza tastes from you because I went to college in Chicago, and I am a great lover of the deep dish. Mostly because I like cheese.
Oh, God. It's like a giant loaf of bread.
No, it is not when it's probably not. It's just cheese. It's like a heart attack on a platter, and I love it. You know, it's my inner American. But I love all that cheese, and I like sausage. I like mushrooms. I like onion. I do not like olives or peppers, which some people would be horrified by, but it's just the truth.
Well, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know anybody who eats olives. Like, every single person that I know that eats any of this stuff, like a salad or a pizza or whatever, we're picking out the olives. Like, we end the night with like a giant plate of just olives. That no one will come near a 10-foot with a 10-foot pole. Like, no, olives are like an affront. No, thank you.
Oh man, I feel like everybody but me loves olives. I'm so relieved that I'm not alone in this world.
They can have them. Just have all of my olives.
Just take it. The only
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also don't really like pickles unless they're fried. So fortunately, my boyfriend likes those. So like, if I have a pickle like with my sandwich or whatever, it's like, do you want this? He always wants it. Yeah. So it works out.
I'm actually, speaking of that, I'm allergic to chocolate. So my wife makes out like a bandit. Whenever we get chocolate, it all belongs to my wife.
Allergic to chocolate?
It's terrible, man.
That's
people just, people tell me I miss out.
That's the second most depressing allergy I've ever heard. The first most is that I knew an Italian guy with a gluten allergy. And it was like, he would look so sad. I felt bad for Tristan. Ooh. All right. Let's see. Just looking for
this is cool. Thank you guys. Thank you
question.
Everybody for the questions. This is fun.
Yeah, we're getting a real kick out of this. We got some other true crime fans in here, by the way.
Okay.
Also,
Also,
may I just say, Vindication, Kabuki Kid rates Time's Up, a Total Recall, a perfect 10, her favorite party game. So there. Oh, it's 2-1 now.
Sure. Why not? There's a game for everybody.
All right, let's see. PB and yogurt. Agree with that, yes.
Come on. That's like 10-year-old boy stuff. 10-year-old boys have cast iron stomachs, will eat anything.
All right, so somebody wants to know if we've ever tried bananas on pizza.
All the time. That's delicious.
Seriously? Are you serious right
now? Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, bananas a staple, man. That's good stuff.
I've had a peanut butter banana sandwich, but not a pizza.
Yeah. What is the difference? Like, honestly, like when it comes to like, I don't know, like it's bread. It's bread with some like stuff on it. Like,
is it like cheese and tomato sauce with a banana on it, or is it like pizza dough but like different toppings that go with banana?
It's a pizza.
It's like tomato sauce and cheese with banana on it.
I believe that pizzas involve some sort of tomato sauce and cheese. Yes. and then you throw a banana on there. What are you? I think I used to put peanut butter and banana on pizza. I think that was like my Ninja Turtle go-to. Was peanut butter and banana.
Oh Lord, help us all. So I have had this is a New Haven thing. So when I was in grad school, they had mashed potato pizza at bar. Like that was like their big thing. So I've had mashed potato pizza. That was alright. I like my pizzas a little more standard. Cheesy. I like lots of cheese. I'm like the double cheese orderer on pizza. I really sympathize
with Parmesan, just like throw it all on there.
Yeah, all the cheese. If it is cheesy, it's good. Like that's what I like. The only thing cheese doesn't go with is maybe like chocolate, depending on the cheese type. Like I guess maybe ricotta, but like.
Hey, so like you go to Brooklyn, right? You go to a real you go past like the downtown area. You go to like the Bensonhurst. You go to the Italian neighborhoods. You're gonna get places that basically put everything. You're like chicken Caesar salad pizza and ziti pizza, and like you can like there's so much stuff that you can just put on there, and it's all good. It's all delicious.
Yeah, when I was in Germany, they had I got like a scholarship in college to go to Berlin and like study German for a couple months, and like our big thing after class was like go across the street and get pizza, and they had like tuna fish pizza. And they had, like, arugula pizza. It was all pretty good. Learn some German at the same time.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Oh, man. So, what other activities of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles did you emulate as a child? Were you, like, the kid that was, like, running around with, like, the mask on and the...
I gave myself a lot of welts with my nunchucks.
That's awesome.
I would come out of like practicing my nunchucks, and I would be bruised about down my side and like on my arms, and I even had the padded ones. So like it wasn't like these sticks. It was like that I was like trying so hard, and I was doing it for hours. Like I would come out there, and my mom would see me, and she would just be like, "Just give me those nunchucks. Get out of here." I was never a skateboarder. I wish. Like just skateboarding seems really fun. Skateboarding, rollerblading, that I'm a little big for that and clumsy, and that never worked. Never quite worked out. But yeah, definitely nunchucks. If I just give me a pair of nunchucks, and I'll just like whack myself in the head at least like 7 times.
So when I was really little, I'll just match you for an embarrassing story. So when I was really little, I used to like to pretend to be Batman, and like my grandma made me like a little hood with like bat ears on it, and I had a cape. And my parents let me be Batman for Halloween. And people, actually, they used to think it was really funny because people were like, "Oh, are you Batgirl?" No, I am Batman. And I would like go running off. I was convinced that my dad was Batman because his first name is Bruce and his middle name is Wayne. And I was just, and also like, when you're little, my dad worked for a newspaper at the time. So I'd also seen Superman, and like in a great conflation, it was like, oh, it must be his secret identity. So you're not alone in having been an imaginative child. Ooh, here's a good one. Since you and I both been in a lot of countries, what country would you most like to visit?
Oh man, I mean, I have been a lot of places. So just to let you know where I have been, I've been to China, New Zealand, Nepal, Thailand, Nicaragua, Jerusalem. This was all in college. Like, like if we have like any younger people out there, or like parents who are of kids in college, like when we get past Corona, whatever it is, like put your kids in study abroad. Like that is a must. Like they cannot spend their junior year in the same place. That is not, don't do that. So most of this was like kind of that's what I got the bug. So I kind of like kicked a lot of the really cool countries off the bucket list.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, where do you want to go next? What's your next?
Morocco?
Ooh, I would love to go to Morocco. Dude, we should do it.
I've not been to anywhere in Africa.
Not even Egypt?
Yeah,
let's do it. Why not?
I haven't been anywhere in Africa. Okay, somewhere in Africa, either Morocco, because I was supposed to. Like I was actually had it, but like like the problem when you travel, there's like a lot of geopolitics going on. So like when I was traveling, this was like 2000, and I was supposed to go to St. Petersburg, but it was right during, I think it was like the Chechnyan invasion, or there's like a big revolt or something. So they're like, yeah, you're going to New Zealand. Nothing happens there. It's like, all right, sure.
Hobbits happen there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing we're good. Yeah.
Oh, I would love to go to Morocco. That's such a good one.
I had a chance to go to Morocco, but that again, geopolitics kind of like changes, and what's going on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, most of my travel's been in the Middle East, so I've been to France and Germany and Italy, but I've spent most of my time. I used to do archaeology in Egypt, and then one summer, my friend Dan and I went to Jordan. We went to Syria. We went to Turkey, and it really was amazing. And I was in Syria in summer of 2010, which means that was the last window we could have gone before the Arab Spring.
The Arab Spring.
Yeah, and so now we can't. I mean, half the places I went probably don't exist anymore, or if they do, it's something I would probably cry about. So I'm glad I got to go. And interestingly, I had to choose between going to Israel and going to Syria at that time, and I chose to go to Syria because I figured it's safe to go to Syria right now, and it might not always be, which is a good choice. And then last year I did finally make it to Israel. Finally made it to Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. That had been a goal. Well, I'd been planning to get a tattoo in Jerusalem since college. So,
mm-hmm.
I finally made it.
If I hadn't gone to Jerusalem, that answer would have been Jerusalem, because that was like definitely a bucket. I didn't go like after I was in my career, although I made the dumb mistake of growing my beard out, because Puerto Rican man. They don't know what a Puerto Rican is over there. Imagine that. It's an island of 3 million people, and halfway across the world, so they don't even know what that is. So I'm looking pretty Palestinian over there. That is not a thing that you want to be in certain parts. And I was like traveling back and forth. So so you have Jerusalem, which is the main city, the Israeli city, and then basically right across like a border is Bethlehem.
Yes.
So I'm Christian, so I was visiting the Church of Nativity. And then, you visit the Church of the Resurrection. So you get hitting all these places. And if you're going back and forth across the border, that's more contact with police. And that can be fun. And we're at 9:52, so I don't know if we have time for that story, but
why not do it?
Yeah, that was a little interesting. That's okay. I'm okay.
You're okay.
and I will never go back there with a full beard ever again. I'll leave it there.
Fair enough. I used to do stupid, impetuous things in my youth. So one time my friend Dan and I were at Petra, and it said tourists don't go this way, but we went, and we ended up on this beautiful walk through all these fields, and we met this really nice Bedouin woman who gave us a top-down view of the treasury at Petra, and then showed us how to get back. So I did not learn my lesson. I just had a good time. All right, so let's see. I don't remember exactly where it was, but I saw a question go by that asked, what are our favorite quarantine movies?
I'm not a big movie guy. I don't know. I'm just not. My wife has a Netflix subscription. She has the Amazon Prime and all that stuff. I mean, I'd much rather kind of bang out some series.
Yeah.
So I finished Stranger Things.
Okay. Yeah.
We actually talked about Stranger Things.
We did.
So, and I don't know. I if I'm gonna watch something, I like to kind of have a whole run of stuff, and it's just over multiple nights. And I think a couple of weeks ago I banged out The Office, just a whole bunch of you just watch them 7 in a night. It's okay, just breeze by. Yeah, not really movies. So yeah, sorry.
No,
are you a movie buff?
No, I mean I like movies, but I've been going back to my comfort movies in quarantine. It's weird. There, how there are movies that you watch and they just make you feel cozy and happy. So this is embarrassing, I guess. I love You Got Mail, the Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks movie. So I rewatched that recently. I rewatched Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade recently because I love Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade.
Sure.
That movie was probably pretty formative for me. And I'm actually seeing Joker come up a couple times in the comments. We tried to watch it. My boyfriend made it all the way through. I just couldn't handle it. I could not. I just could not handle it. It was too depressing to watch Arthur just get beat down and down and down. And I actually like get overly empathetic when I watch movies or shows, and it was just too painful for me. I don't dispute that it was quality filmmaking and acting.
Part of the
yeah,
like part of the overlay of that film was like at any point he could have gotten like mental health therapy and things would have gone completely different. So like that's part of the thing. It's like, you know, the system is failing and this is what you get when you have all these cracks in the system. So I'm looking at it from a very different perspective of like, I need to put this guy on the couch now and this is what I would do.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I'm watching this movie. Occupational hazard.
Yeah, I feel like that about movies like, I don't know, Stargate. So So my favorite watch of Stargate ever was with a bunch of Egyptologists because they all, you know a lot about Egypt, right? So we watched Stargate, and that line where he goes, this looks like some sort of hieratic or cuneiform or something. We all just died because hieratic and cuneiform don't look at all alike, and nobody knows that except for people who are in the middle of grad school for Egyptology. And so just watching him like suddenly figure out the Egyptian language and all that kind of stuff, it was so fun to just watch people who are pros in the field get increasingly upset but also amused by the entire thing. It was good times. Oh man. So Stranger Things. Since it's coming up a whole bunch of the comments anyway, let's discuss your feelings. Yeah.
Okay, so what are people saying? What are some people saying?
I love Stranger Things. Stranger Things sings to me. I recently watched Stranger Things. So good.
I missed that last part. You lagged.
Just so good.
Okay. All right. I really enjoyed the first season. And the second season was kind of carried some charm. By the time the third season hit, I felt like it got like repetitive. And it's the same mystery and over again. Like, there was no mystery in the third season. I mean, in the first season, they're figuring it out. You know, the upside down world and the Veil of Shadows and everything. That stuff is cool. And I feel like in the third season, there's a lot of kissy face. Like, a lot. And a lot of, like, who are the boyfriend and girlfriend? Like, the little bit of older ones. Jonathan and Nancy?
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, they're, like, walking around with, like, axes and shotguns and it's like being badasses. It's like, no, I don't buy it. I'm not here for that.
Jason, this is the Dice Tower. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, it was okay.
So I don't know if I don't know if people in the comments are, like, vibing with that, but, like, I definitely, like, lost steam on the third season, and then like the trailer, like the little like tidbit for the fourth season, I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Nope.
Actually, what I'm seeing is that people have been talking about Tom Hanks movies and saying that Monsters and Mazes is one of the bad ones. Have you seen Monsters and Mazes?
Of course, that's a seminal one. Of course,
it is a ridiculous film. Like, oh god.
It's a creature of its time, but it's a time capsule. Like, I mean, you know, like it is right in the middle of Satanic Panic, or like right kind of at the tail end telling that story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah, actually, my grandparents were total buy-ins for the Satanic Panic. I remember being told that I should never play Dungeons and Dragons because it would be bad for my soul, and that it was dangerous and demonic. Oops. All right, let's take one more question because it's almost 10. Is there an extremely niche subject for a board game or video that you think almost no one but you would buy?
Whoa. Wow. Well, you go first.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would 100% play a game about Coptic monks because that's what I wrote my dissertation about, and I think they're interesting. You know, I would love to play some game of, like, competing to get relics and build a better church than your neighbors while also looking really holy or something like that. I mean, to me, that would be highly entertaining. But most people, I think
we need
like that.
We need a Simeon the Starlight dexterity game. Like, we need to see how long Simeon the Starlight will stay on his pillar.
That would be amazing, actually. Or we could do, like, Amaro the Dendrite, like, hanging from a tree.
If you don't know these people, I'll look them up.
Yes, so basically, saints in ancient times were very strange people. They lived on pillars. They lived in barrels that were hanging from tree branches. They were very interesting people. Yeah. What about you before we close out?
I don't know if I mean, I don't know if maybe this is people would be interested in it, but like we mentioned through the ages before, maybe through the ages, but American history, just American history.
Ooh.
I think a lot of people would buy that, but so maybe that's like not a great answer, but maybe people won't because they already have through the ages. And I'm reading a American history book right now, and that just like popped in my head. I'm like, wow, I would love to like play Cotton Mather and John Winthrop, and then all the way through to like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Donald Trump and just like play them all through. That'd be really fun.
I would probably play that actually, but of course I also have the same like weird interests, which makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, well, our hour is up, but thank you so much for everybody who's in the chat. Thank you all of y'all for the questions, the laughs. Jason, thank you so much for being on here with me. It's so good to just hang out for an hour.
Liz, this was great. We always have fun. We have a lot of episodes together on Every 90s Game Night with also Jeremy Howard, who I'm sure will be appearing at some point on the live stream. The chatters have been great, guys. That's great questions. Kabuki Kid, sorry about your misgendering, but we'll never make the mistake again. But no, it's super good. This is really fun.
Absolutely. All right, good night, everybody.